Yeah, I just want to know the health risks of GMO.
Well, from what I've read, they're really untested, so to say anything at all would be speculating. But from what we've seen over the past few years is people are getting sicker. More and more diseases to do with the intestinal tract, like celiacs and IBS, are becoming more and more common. Same with so sicknesses are becoming more common. They've linked GMOs to a few things, but of course the industry always comes back and says that it's fine and they've tested it over 90 days and it's totally safe for us to eat. But really, when you're eating something that's created to make a bug's stomach explode with Bt toxin, how is that not going to affect us? So in mice it's shown infertility, and so that shows that maybe in 20, 30 years, if we keep eating this food, maybe we're not going to be able to have babies anymore. So.
And I think too, if I could jump in here, I think the important thing also is beyond the health risk. It's the fact that study after study after study has shown, and the Rondell Institute, I believe that's the name of it, they've put out they've had peer-reviewed journals that state that organic food has just as much high of a yield as the GMO food, if not more. And not only that, but organic farming sequesters CO2 in the soil. And not only that, but it also we're not taking into consideration too. We got to take into consideration the CO2 that's created at the point of production for the chemical industry. So, I mean, from a health perspective, with respect to CO2s, it's way more healthy. So, beyond the whether genetic food, essentially, farmers have been using natural selection through history, but never have they been using laboratory situations where they're sanitized of any nature and taking a gene from a fish and putting it in a tomato. It's never happened before.
Do you think because of the fact that we're using more GMOs that bees are now dying because of that?
Due to the chemicals that, like, they're made Roundup resistant seeds, for example. So now farmers can spray and spray and spray their Roundup on them, and it's been shown to kill bees. All pesticides have. There's big petitions right now to Rona and Lowe's to stop spraying it on their flowers. The flowers are there for the bees, and we're spraying the neonicotinoids.
Yeah,
neonicotinoids. It's quite, but anyways, they know it causes harm to the bees, yet they're still spraying it. So they're dying off. What's going to happen to our food? Well, GMOs to the rescue, right? So it's big profit for these big companies that just want to sell their seed and they want to control it. So by genetically modifying it, they've been able to put a patent on it, and they put a patent on it because it's unique from what can be found in nature, yet they don't have to study it for safety because it is substantially equivalent to what is found in nature. So they have a patent on it to make money. They'll sue farmers if their crop gets wrecked and pollinated by a nearby GMO crop. Then they'll go sue those farmers because their GMO crop has contaminated it, and now they have their patent.
And I think too is also, I mean, the empirical evidence is there with all small farmers, specifically in Cuba. So a lot of people around the world are going to Cuba to understand how they're doing organic farming. Back in the 90s, when they didn't have the oil subsidy from the Eastern Bloc countries, the state was forced to give over a lot of industrial farms, and they found that the small private and cooperative farms are actually, the organic ones are actually more productive. So study after study shows that organic and no-till and rotational crops, etc., is way better than industrial chemical farming.
The soil has big importance on the health of your food, so when they constantly spray these chemicals and grow the same crop over and over and over again, the soil gets depleted of all the nutrients, whereas when in organic farming they're not spraying as many of those chemicals. I'm not actually sure what they use, but they are rotating the crops and replenishing the nutrients to the soil by doing that.
I was wondering, do you think the government is purposely pushing GMOs?
Do I think the government
Yeah.
is purposely pushed? Well, they're not doing anything to stop them.
So that definitely says a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for one, it went through without labeling. In European countries, it's banned, and in other countries over there, it does need to be labeled. But lots of countries have it banned, but ours, they just let them in. So it speaks a lot when in the States, the FDA has people who've worked for Monsanto that go back and forth from Monsanto and the FDA. So that kind of tells you, is it really the government that's letting Monsanto in, or is Monsanto in the government letting Monsanto in? And I would say yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.